Good CG is expensive. It's no secret that every studio exec on the planet is in a mad dash to slash production costs faster than a Black Friday shopper with a coupon book. Mr. Tony from Sony himself even announced last week that they're completely embracing generative AI to cut costs, and naturally, this has us all kind of sweating. Just this week, hundreds of thousands of artists jumped ship from Instagram to Kara after Meta announced that they'd be sneakily training AI models on user art posts. And while it might not be a big deal for most that their avocado toast selfies and cat photos are being used as fodder for the machines, it understandably upsets many artists who put countless hours and care into their work. I know AI is already slicing into some concept artist roles, and matte painters too for that matter, and I even use it sometimes to generate some tileable texture maps, but beyond that, I have yet to see it really affect any other departments in a super significant way just yet. I think I'd really start stressing if I saw an AI that can hog the coffee machine in the mornings. I mean, sure, I've seen some decent looking demos that seem like they might be coming for our jobs, but I figured it might be interesting to see, like, what if I just let it? What if I let AI take my job? I want to find the most advanced AI tools available to cut out as much of my job as possible when taking assets and shots from 0 to 100. Normally, I'm not super keen on making content centered around Gen AI, but surely if I'm using it as an experiment to learn more and potentially combat AI, that's okay, right? I mean, you have to know your enemy and all that. I don't know, maybe I'm just coping. So let's see if the results are a complete mess and still require a ton of extra work, or if it's time to call in Sarah Connor. Starting with character modeling work. Meshy seems to be the best generative AI 3D modeling platform available at the moment. The others don't quite hold up in terms of quality, and apparently Kadeem is a scam. Like, it's not even AI. They apparently just hire freelancers to do the work and market it as AI. I'm not sure how true that is, but I'm not touching that. Shutterstock seems to have one that might outshine Meshy, but it's not available to the public yet, and they've gone radio silent ever since dropping a flashy announcement trailer, so who knows where that's at. And I don't even know what to make. I'll probably stick to some organic character. Maybe a dog wearing a helmet and a jetpack? On second thought, maybe not. Let's give AI a chance and stick to something we're not used to seeing every day. That might easily trigger that feeling of Uncanny Valley. Not that I see jetpacking bulldogs every day, but aliens? That seems like a safer bet. And to double down on Team AI, I'll try generating a concept with Midjourney. It's better at coming up with cinematic concept work. Type in front-facing bust of a humanoid alien creature on a black background in the style of Star Wars, run through a couple iterations of that, and there it is. Wow, that can't be good for concept artists. Okay, Meshy, let's see what you've got. Ooh, okay, well, it's something, I guess. Why did it give him such a long chin? What even is that? He looks like Pai Mei from Kill Bill. All right, well, that's what cutting-edge AI tech gives us. It's obviously pretty much unusable, but it could be a starting point to sculpt from. It blocks in the basic shapes for me, which I guess saves me a little bit of time that I would normally spend fiddling with a sphere until it looked similar to this lumpy potato. And look, let's be honest, organic characters are likely going to be the toughest thing for it to generate. We're starting off in the deep end. I'm sure it'd have a much better time handling some smaller props, but where's the fun in that? And maybe on the next one, we'll try putting an environment together to see how it handles that. So with this thing, I guess the next step is to transform this terrifying looking blob that I couldn't even put into a PS1 game into something somewhat usable. Typically with character work, I'd start by remodeling the base mesh to get a cleaner looking topology. So I started doing that until I realized I was wasting my time. This is a quick experiment, not a feature film. I have to keep reminding myself of that. I'm not even planning on rigging this thing, so I'm just going to auto remesh and call it a day. With that out of the way, I can finally start to turn this thing around and come out of the other side with hopefully an actual piece of art. The plan is to start sculpting from the generated base mesh and stay true to the forms, and in an attempt to kind of make things my own, and because it would take too long to match one-to-one, I'll veer off the original concept a bit. Besides, I'm sure that the concept totally wasn't just a mashup of some Star Wars shots or unsuspecting artists' work anyways. So let's dive into ZBrush for our sculpt, adding details to bring our alien creature's face to life. To save myself some time and avoid a bit of a headache, I start by only focusing on one half of the face and simply duplicate and weld it together. Ah, symmetry. Eventually I'll add those little micro details like skin pores and veins to really add icing onto this slimy extraterrestrial cake. To help us out with all this, XP Pen sent us one of their latest drawing tablets, the Artist Pro 16 Gen 2. Up until recently, I've mainly been a Wacom guy, but this thing is essentially a Cintiq that didn't cost me an arm and a leg. It's got all the things: accurate colors, precise pressure control, a clean paper-like feel when using the pen. They even equipped it with blue light control so my sensitive little retinas don't get too tired out too quickly. So thoughtful, XP Pen. The tablet had the same large screen size as my existing one, but at a fraction of the cost, and it came with a 3-in-1 cable that was super simple to set up. I just plugged it in and it worked like a charm. Maybe I'm just scarred by having to spend far too much time chasing down drivers on 3 different devices before I can usually get things to work, but it's nice when something just works for once. If you've been thinking about getting a display tablet for a while, but weren't sure about making the jump, check out the wide range of products offered at XP Pen using the link in the description. Normally I don't shill so hard for brand integrations, but I'm really impressed with the quality of the price for this thing. Got my face sculpt into a reasonable place, I can move on to texturing it. The textures that we generated earlier are too low res to be useful to us. I'm going to use Substance Painter to start dropping in a procedural base for our textures, then build up layers from there one by one, adding discoloration, edge details, and making a clear distinction between what should be fleshy and what should look more like a hardened shell. Then I'll quickly touch up some custom painted details like around the lips and eyes. I could definitely spend a lot more time perfecting this, and frankly, if this were for a real production, I would have to. But for the sake of time and moving on, I'll park it once I get into a decent looking spot. Then it's on to shading. Pretty straightforward. It's skin, so we'll need some subsurface scattering, especially around the very fleshy bits around the eyes and lips. The rest is just a matter of dialing in some color and range adjustments to get the right level of gloss and alien skin color we're after. Most of the look will come through with some lighting, so a Studio HDR image, a simple key light highlighting half his face, and a rim light for some edge detailing goes a really long way. All that's left now are his clothes. This could get complicated, and I'm all out of time and effort I'm willing to put in, so we'll keep it very basic again. I'll have to remodel something roughly based on the original mesh. Once again, I'm only modeling half of it, then duplicating it. From there, we'll bring it into ZBrush again, sculpt something that feels like fabric, probably a mix of something like leather for the shawl and some lighter fabric for the undershirt, using some ornate floral detailing brushes to add some embossed details to the leather. The rest is easy. We just plug in our shaders, dial them in, and we're set. So this is good enough for me. For now, I'm not losing much sleep over character modeling just yet. What I got was borderline unusable, and it takes a lot more elbow grease and hard work to convert that into something workable. I'm sure with thousands of iterations, I might be able to wrangle something more usable for game projects, but even then, you're looking at retopple work, UVing, touching up textures, shading, and much more. This is still far from an out-of-the-box solution. For now, without a doubt, some version of this, hopefully more ethically sourced, will make its way into our workflows. It's just not quite there yet. And honestly, as of now, for high-end work, you're not gaining much from a very rough initial base mesh. But I imagine pretty soon it'll get much better. And it's probably better suited for environment work anyways, so maybe I'll try tackling that next. And some shot work too. I'm curious to see what a lot of this tech is currently capable of when it comes to moving images. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, stay tuned and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any other current tech put to the test. What better way to prepare for our inevitable assimilation than to play with our robot overlord's toys, right?